Community News. Are we on?
Now we are.
Okay, now we're on. Hey, thanks for joining us. This is Live with Miami's Community News. Our guest today is James Richard with Miami-Dade County Solid Waste Department. Welcome and thanks for being here.
No problem. Thank you for having me again, Michael.
So, holidays, we're right in the middle of the holidays. All right,
Yes.
Christmas is around the corner.
Yes, it is.
What does that mean to us as consumers and distributors for us as the end consumer of waste?
Oh, well, as you could totally understand, as a lot of people can gather, the holidays is a time of consumption. Like you said, everybody's a consumer. There's more product. There are more products that are being purchased. There's more food being consumed at parties and get-togethers, gatherings.
7
so
pounds worth, folks.
Yeah. Especially around, like you said, the holidays, specifically Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so, as far as what we face on the back end in our solid waste management side, we see an uptick in the amount of tonnage that we collect. We see an increase in the amount of recyclables that we collect as well. And so that's something that we take on every year and we prepare for it and we're ready to tackle it, when it comes about.
So we know that Christmas Day and the day after, those green carts that are out there are jammed full of cardboard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So tell us the right way to put cardboard into those green carts.
Well, actually, they should be going in your blue carts for
Blue
recycling.
carts.
Yes, they should go in your recycling cart.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries. And
Jean Maria must be killing me. Sorry,
our
sweetheart.
recycling manager is probably going to see this and shake her head. But no, we want people to put those cardboard boxes and other wrappings into their blue recycling cart for recycling, if they're acceptable. You want to break down and flatten those boxes as much as possible. If you need to take a box cutter and cut those cardboard pieces up, that's fine. We get people who write into us or call in and say, oh, I have this big screen TV box. It can't fit into my recycling cart. What do I do? And, what I do at my house and what we tell people to do is take a box cutter or scissors, cut it down into smaller pieces so that it could fit easily and loosely within that blue cart. Because if you jam a box in there, it'll prevent all the other stuff at
And
the
so
bottom.
that when the guys got with their one arm banging it against the thing over there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the other day I see somebody work here at 7:00 in the morning. She comes up, she opens up the back seat and she pulls out this giant 75-inch TV box.
Yeah.
And she brings it to us to dispose of.
Yeah. I
Thanks so much.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you really want it to be recycled, and it will be recycled, is take out the foam, because we don't accept styrofoam. So the things that kind of keep it, within the contents of the box, you want to take those styrofoam pieces out, and then again, just flatten and break down that box so it fits loosely within that blue cart, and we'll take care of it.
And no pizza boxes.
No pizza boxes, no food waste.
So if you have a really big box and you put it out on your patio and it gets wet, all right, you're not supposed to put that into recycling.
No. We want everything to be clean and dry. Those are the two big ones, or as dry as possible. If you rinse out a plastic bottle or a soup can or something like that, that's fine. Those tend to dry pretty quickly. But when we're talking about paper and cardboard, where the liquid gets soaked into the fibers, that really is problematic. And so we really want people to take notice and recycle the correct items, but also recycle those items in the correct condition.
So James says, if somebody has the cardboard and they just can't figure out what to do, and they wind up putting it into the green carts,
right,
it's going to be turned into fuel, into electricity.
That is correct. The vast majority of the garbage that's collected within our green carts ends up at our waste to energy facility. And like I've said many times on this program, that garbage and trash is taken to the waste to energy facility. It's burned. It generates steam, which turns turbines and generates enough electricity to power the plant, as well as 35,000 homes. And some of that electricity actually ends up back on the grid and is provided to the city of Homestead.
So we're seeing, certainly in the last 5 years, we've seen a lot of conversations about solar power and about this recycling thing a lot. All right.
Right.
And so government has to be years out ahead. All right. And leading the way.
Absolutely.
So I guess recycling has been being pushed for 15 years, 20 years, right?
Yeah. Our single stream program began in 2008. Before that, we had, the toters, the little, separate, bins that recycling contractors had to go in and empty off manually. But our single stream program has been around, I guess, now for about, 14 years, something like that, if I'm doing the math correctly. And so, it's something that we definitely want to be stewards of the environment. Recycling is a big part of that. Like I always say, recycling is the easiest thing that residents can do to make a positive impact on the environment. And we take our jobs as stewards of the environment very seriously. And so our director has made it a priority to, be forward thinking, to look toward the future, to find ways to, to positively impact the environment, especially since we're the ones who are dealing with people's waste that generates from their house.
A few months ago, we saw that the county and some other departments took some old boats out of the water in North Bay Village, if I remember right. That was so significant to be able to show people, hey, we're really doing this. You can't see it, but we saw it. That's really significant when we can see things and hear them. It makes a bigger impact on a lot of us. And we know the little kids out there finally are thinking about recycling and being, as you're saying, a better steward for the environment.
Yes.
And so, if somebody has too much holiday stuff to put into their carts,
right,
what should they do?
Well, one of the 3 R's obviously is reduce, reuse, recycle. So if you could repurpose anything that you use during the holidays, we definitely encourage that. One of the things I always do in the holidays, especially when we're receiving gift bags and things like that, a lot of those gift bags can be reused for the next holiday. And by the time the next year comes around, nobody remembers what bag they gave out. So if you end up regifting it to someone who gave it out.
What about the contents?
Oh, well, I don't know about the contents. You don't want to, you don't necessarily want to return what you got as a gift, but, try to reuse whatever you can when you can. That's a big thing, and that'll reduce your volume. You want to make sure that you're recycling the correct material. When you put items in your blue recycling cart that don't belong there, and then it fills up with those non-recyclable items, it becomes a problem. You don't have any more space, and our recycling service happens every other week. It's not as if we're going to be there twice a week like we do with our garbage service. So you want to make sure that you're recycling right, only recycling the 5 types of items: cardboard, cans, cartons, paper, and bottles, plastic or glass, making sure those are the only items that go in your blue cart, and then you bag all those other items with your household garbage to go in your green cart, and we'll come on your service day to collect that garbage at the curb.
So when I go to the local drugstore and it's 1 or 2 items and they go to do the bag and I'm processing in my head, they're going to give me that bag. I'm going to go home and I'm going to take the stuff out and put it in the bathroom. Here's this bag. I'm going to put it up in the cabinet where it's going to sit for 6 months to a year, where I'm eventually going to throw it out.
Yeah.
So I just say, no, thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a smart way to do it. And that's a way, you could change your behaviors. As far as what happens on the retail side of things, we have very little say in that. But if we can influence people to take those steps, similar steps like you said, use a reusable bag or decline a bag if it's 1 or 2 items, that'll go a long way in reducing
It took
waste.
a while before with all the things, it took a little courage to tell the 18-year-old girl or guy, sorry, all right, I don't want the bag. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it was like, that felt good.
No.
And I tell them before, I don't need a bag.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm realizing that area that we keep our plastic grocery stuff, which we need to carry out, right, other than the regular bags that, the reusable ones, it's like, I'm not seeing any more of those bags up there. And you realize it is a waste. And maybe if we do that enough, the manufacturers of those plastic bags are going, you know what? The drugstore's not ordering as many as they used to.
Yeah.
And I think with people changing their mind on how they handle that, it can make a difference.
No, absolutely. I can't tell you, a handful of times when I'm out purchasing things, and you're right, it's 1 or 2 items, pack of gum, something to drink. The person at the cash register asks, do you need a bag? And I'm like, no. I get asked that question sometimes. And I know that, on the flip side, those bags cost money. And so I'm sure that some retailers may prefer not to give out those bags just to save the cost on their end. But you're right. I mean, it's something where, changing behavior is one of the hardest things you could do.
Yes.
Changing someone's habits, whether they're good or bad, primarily bad habits, are hard to change. And so, education and information can hopefully, inform those changes in those behaviors to, for a better outcome.
The beach patrol is handled by a different department.
Yes.
And what department is that?
Well, it depends on the municipality. I believe Parks, Miami-Dade County Parks has a hand in some of that in some locations. We only provide residential waste services. So, waste collection on a beach or in a park, it doesn't fall within our purview. But, any sort of, litter cleanup or things like that, maintaining the rights of way, that falls within our department.
So the county has more than a dozen TRCs?
That's right. Trash and recycling centers. You have
Right.
13.
And they're And if you haven't taken your son or daughter to one of those, you ought to do it because
Yeah.
it's a real trip.
It,
Right?
it is, and they're really useful for our customers because, as I've stated before, each one of our household customers gets 2 bulky waste pickups. But if you don't want to utilize one of those pickups, and you are able to transport that bulk item, whether it be furniture, tree cuttings, large cardboard boxes, you could bring them to our TRCs for disposal. They won't be recycled. We're working on that. But if you want to dispose of large items, you could take it to one of our TRCs as long as you're one of our customers, and you could dispose of them there. We have
And
roll-off containers who you can
so
just dump into.
do most of them you back up? Almost all you back up?
Yes, yes. So the way it works is there are elevated centers. So you drive up a ramp, you show your ID to verify that you're one of our customers, and then you'll be assigned a bay or a parking space, and you back up to a railing, and over that railing and down is one of our roll-off containers. Yeah, yeah. And so you basically open your trunk, or if you're in a truck, you go in the bed and just drop those items into those roll-off containers. And throughout the course of the day, our roll-off trucks come, pick up the full containers, drop off an empty one, and that process goes on 7 days a week.
And for all the people that don't get it, all right, I'm wired like that. I go, that is so cool.
Yeah, yeah. It's an ongoing process. I mean, we have locations where the line goes out the center, down the street. It's a very popular program, and they're popular facilities because, again, if you're not one of our customers and you want to dispose of those bulk items, you have to go to one of our landfills and pay a fee to dispose of those large items. So our customers, it's built into the waste service fee that they pay every year, and they could access those facilities as many times as they like.
It's hard to understand when I hear somebody who works for the government referred to us as customers. So explain that so people can understand that a little bit more.
No, absolutely. We provide a service, and we're service oriented. We view each one of our customers, each one of the households that we serve, as customers, and we strive to provide the same level of service to all of our customers. A lot of times people, if they have a missed pickup or they have a complaint, they bring up taxes. And that's a fair point to make. You pay a certain amount in property taxes, but sometimes I'm quick to point out, the fee that our customers pay is the same regardless of the size of your house, the square footage, your assessed property value. So we strive to provide the same service, the same level of service to a 2-bedroom house as to a house that may have 5 or 6 bedrooms on a large lot. And so in doing that, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback about the service we provide. We provide service to over 340,000 households. We have 146 garbage trucks that are out every single day. Each one of those trucks can service anywhere between 1,000 and 1,200 homes a day. So it's a big service area. It's a big undertaking, but we aim to please as many of our customers as possible.
And tonight, where are the vehicles parked? In different locations?
Yeah, so we have several operations facilities. We have one located in the northeast section of the county off of Miami Gardens Drive. We've got another one located off 58th Street in Doral, which is our main operations hub where the vast majority of our trucks are dispatched. And then we have a location down south. It's called our 3B facility, which kind of services that area of the county.
We know that especially during this time of the year when people say, I don't want to put those big boxes out front, it won't fit in my garbage can. So I'm just going to drive down the street and dump it out in front of James Richards' house, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about people that are dumping trash versus throwing a piece of gum out the window.
Right. So, littering and illegal dumping are of the same vein, but they're, very different. Littering is, like I mentioned, a soda can or a bottle. It's more of a crime of convenience where you don't feel like waiting to get to your final destination to dispose of something in its proper receptacle. Illegal dumping takes a bit of planning, and that entails a lot of usually entails a lot of large items. So you're talking about furniture, mattresses, large boxes, like you mentioned, and a lot of times that happens, on properties that are either vacant or properties that have existing piles that are waiting to be serviced. And so they're both frowned upon. We really don't like either one of those. We have an enforcement division that is on top of illegal dumping throughout our service area, and they work diligently to try to address all those piles. So we definitely want people to take the proper steps take the time to do what you're supposed to do with your waste, especially around the holidays, because it definitely puts a damper on everybody's decorations and Christmas lights if they have an illegal dumping pile nearby.
So we noticed in a story that we ran in community newspapers where a builder was arrested because he dumped. It looked like it could be a pickup truck back, maybe full, but it wasn't much more than that. And we had the picture of the stuff that was out there.
Yep.
The police went to the site, all right? And I don't know if there was a camera in the neighborhood or there was something in there, but in either case, all right, they went to the guy's house. He admitted they arrested him.
Yeah. No. I mean, our main education campaign for illegal dumping is dirty crimes carry fines, and they do. Illegal dumping, you can either be subject to arrest, subject to a civil penalty. So a lot of times people get civil citations where they have to pay a fine. And in some cases, if somebody's a repeat offender, their vehicle could be seized if it's been used in the commission of illegal dumping.
Let's look at the time and energy and cost that's involved when there's illegal dumping.
Yep.
The guy dumps it there, so he saves an hour, right? Then the enforcement officer who drives by, right? He either gets called or he sees it. Then he has to call out the police who've got to look at it. And then they're going to investigate it. Then they're going to go to the guy's house. He's going to get arrested. Probably has to put up a bond or a plea. Maybe they can let him out. He's probably going to get an attorney, right?
Yeah.
And then his wife and kids, why are you doing that, right? And go through all that instead of just taking it to the dump.
No, absolutely. And the trash and recycling centers, like I mentioned before, are for our residential customers. So, contractors and businesses can't use that. So when you're talking about, like in this instance, I believe it was a subcontractor or a contractor. He couldn't access one of our trash and recycling centers because it's not being generated from his household. And a lot of times, people who would, in other instances, have to take those materials to one of our landfills and pay a disposal fee for dumping that material. Whatever they're paid for the job, and a portion of that is for disposal, they pocket it and dump it. So not only is it something where it takes up a lot of resources and they're wasting time and energy, it's also a crime possibly of greed in some instances.
So, and maybe the police go back, they find out whose household it was, and give them grief, which infuriates the buyer of their product. Right? So you dumped that stuff. My stuff was in it. Why are you jeopardizing me?
Yeah.
So if somebody is a builder, where do they take their stuff?
So they should go to an approved disposal site. Our landfills, both our North Dade landfill and South Dade landfill, are disposal sites that anyone can use in Miami-Dade County, but you have to pay a fee. And so, like you said, if somebody is hiring a subcontractor and as part of the scope of the work, disposal and removal of debris or waste is part of the contract, and you have that line item on your bill, and you paid that fee, and then you get either one of our enforcement officers or a police officer coming to your house and saying, oh, this person didn't go and dispose of it as they should. They just dumped it on the side of the road. Well, you paid that person, so you're basically being taken, for that amount of money. And so, it could definitely be frustrating for some people who hire contractors who aren't upfront and don't do the right thing.
So a pickup truck of stuff, let's say it's more or less even on the top of it. Does the makeup of that trash, of the rubbish matter, or is it by volume?
Well, it does matter if you're going to one of our trash and recycling centers. So So if you go one of our trash and recycling centers, you can only take up to 3 cubic yards of construction and demolition debris. So that's tiles, lumber, stuff that's apparently from construction and demolition, concrete, things like that. A cubic yard is roughly the size of a standard washing machine, so 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. And so that could fit within the back of a truck. And we don't have any scales at our trash and recycling center, so it doesn't weigh how much is being disposed of. But when you go to one of our landfills, on the other hand, there are scale houses, and so that's how they figure out how much to charge each truck that comes through. They weigh you when you come in, you go and dump, and on your way back, you stop at the scale house and they check what the difference is, and that's what you pay for as far as the disposal.
Landscape material is obviously different than tile, which is very dense.
Yes.
Right. And do you have any concept of what, if it's filled with tile, the back of it, is that $50, $200, $500, any concept as far as the price?
So I believe, and you don't have to quote me on this, but I believe the disposal fee is around $98 per ton. And so if it's less than a ton, you pay less than the $98. And so again, it's something where you go to a scale house and you're talking about, if you have a big dump truck, you can do the math depending on what is inside the truck. But if you have a van or a dump truck or a pickup, excuse me, not a dump truck, a pickup, and you come in and you have however many pounds of yard waste versus tiles and things like that, you would pay based on what you have there. It's not, 1 ton and up. You definitely pay for what you bring in.
So let's talk about bulky waste pickup, which
Sure.
historically that's landscaping material.
Yeah, for a lot of people, it's either landscaping material. You could also put up to 3 cubic yards of construction and demolition debris out for pickup, furniture, things like that.
And people can put their old washing machines, their old dryers.
Yeah.
If it's going to be refrigerated, take the door off.
Absolutely, yes.
Take
Please
the
take
door off, take the door off.
yes, take the door off of the freezer as well.
Yeah.
I know people might not think that that might be accessible, but as we've talked about in the past, you definitely want to be safe. Make sure that there are no people who could, or children, obviously, that can get in there and possibly get trapped. So we definitely tell people to put their white goods out, take off the door, undo the hinges, and put the door next door.
So 25 yards, that's a bunch of trash,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Of rubbish.
Mhm.
And people entitled to 225 yards a year
That is
or
correct.
150.
Yes.
Right. This is a really good time for them to empty out their backyards right now. And in a month, they can call for the next 50.
Well, it's funny you should say that. Right now, we get a lot of people who are trying to, use those 2 pickups because on January 1st, those people who use those 2 pickups, they get a new set for 2022. If you don't use them this year, they don't roll over to next year. So a lot of people do want to take advantage of that toward the end of the year, whether it be, cleaning out stuff that they've kind of procrastinated on. But there's a bit of a rush toward the end of the calendar
It's
year.
sort of
to
like
get bulky
everybody
season.
going to the dentist and the doctor.
Yeah, they try to get it done before the first.
So, so right now, if somebody has their trash and they're ready, they can call 311 or they can go online.
Yes.
And the way I found it, because I didn't quite figure out the address, I went to miamidade.gov.
Mhm.
I found it, or I went to Google, and it took me right to the bulky waste pickup.
That's right.
And then you put in your address, and it tells you you got two to go.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It'll let you know how many pickups you have remaining, and then once you confirm that information, it'll just ask you a few questions about the contents of the pile. If it's located on, if you're on a corner lot, if it's on the side.
There's
or in
actually a
front.
map
Yeah.
of the house, and it says mark which one it is.
Mhm.
It's extraordinarily simple. All right.
Yeah.
And when I used it, I was so pleased because my
Right.
frustration level with that stuff gets pretty high. Pretty simple. Then they ask you really an important question: when will it all be ready for pickup?
That's a very important question. We call that the ready date, and a lot of people, unfortunately, that the guidance is you call the schedule before you put the items out on the curb, because when you schedule it for pickup, it gets put into our system, and our enforcement officers who are patrolling our service area, if they see a pile there and they go in the system and say nothing's scheduled, you might get a warning notice. And again, it's just a warning notice. There's no immediate action being taken, but some people take that as to, I have something pending against me. But we always tell people to please schedule the pickup in advance. You could put a ready date out several days in advance. If you know that your landscaper is coming to do some tree trimming and they're going to be there on a certain day, you could have a ready date of that exact day. And then that's when the clock starts for, how long it'll take for the pickup.
And
to
usually
take
the
place.
county comes out. What's their time frame?
Time frame is 1 to 8 days. Sometimes it could be, 2 days, it could be 3 days. It depends on, the timing of the scheduling. Also, what day the request is made on and where things
So somebody
stand.
can write in and say it's going to be ready on January 1st,
Mhm.
right? And then you can start putting in there, and they can pick up the next day, or 8 days later, or 7
Right.
plus days later.
Yeah. So it's a range, and really it varies. If for whatever reason our trucks aren't able to service all the piles that were scheduled the day before, they may go back and try to finish the prior day's pickups. So that may also move some pickups around, but it's 1 to 8 days from the time of the ready date that is
So if you
provided.
call in for a pickup and you can look at it, it's less than 25 yards. So that sometimes people dump their stuff there.
Right.
And so even if it's not the 25 yards, if people see that if the owner sees that people are dumping stuff on that pile,
Right.
What do you want them to do?
You want to call 311 and report that illegal dumping on your pile, because if that material that's illegally dumped onto your pile ends up being more than the 25 cubic yards for your pickup, it's going to go into your second pickup, and you'll be out of luck because we have no record of it. So we definitely want people to report illegal dumping on their bulky piles. It's really important. And once that information is in the system, it'll make sure that those illegally dumped items do not count against your bulkies.
As I mentioned before, I live in horse country, and I had, I'm going to guess around 25. By the time the neighbors got done dumping the stuff, it was at least 50.
Wow.
Sensing that, I took pictures of it. Right?
Oh yeah.
And I made sure there was a landmark in there. And I didn't call in to 311 to tell them. I sort of forgot, but I had the picture. So when the guys came out, they're very diligent. He said, "It's all this, Mr. Miller." I said, "Listen, I'm sending you a picture right now. This is my stuff." And they were very cordial, and they knew I was trying to make that. But if somebody's dumping, dial 311.
Absolutely.
You put it on the record so that everybody knows up front.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I've stated before, if you catch someone in the act of illegally dumping, you could call 911. We don't want anybody to confront anyone, and if you don't feel comfortable doing that, like you said, take some photos. If you take a description of the vehicle, maybe a tag number, but we definitely don't want anybody confronting anyone who's illegally dumping. It's better to take down the information, share it with our department, and our enforcement officers will take it from there.
I don't do it anymore.
It's good. Good. That's perfect.
We got a couple minutes left.
Sure.
So let's talk about the other stuff with holidays.
Yes.
When do the folks that work for the solid waste, when they're working every day, they're off which days? Tell us about that.
I'm glad you asked. So our garbage collection happens every day that is a scheduled service day, with the exception of 3 holidays, and that is Martin Luther King Day, 4th of July, and Christmas Day. So this year, since Christmas falls on a Saturday, the county observes the Christmas holiday on a Friday. So there will be no garbage collection on Friday, December 24th. There won't be any bulky pickups that day either. So if you are scheduled to receive garbage collection on Fridays, that Friday, Christmas Eve, don't put your cart out. We won't be servicing it that day. And then the following Tuesday, you just want to be patient, because all the people who accumulated their garbage for that Friday pickup will have even more. And so our trucks might have to make a few extra trips to offload.
And we know people can order it. We got 3 minutes left. All right. There you go. Oh, there you go, George. Hey, George, how are you? Let's see. Do you still have to remove the doors of the refrigerator? I don't know. There is no fee for your bulky waste pickup.
That is
as
correct.
long as it's within that you haven't had pickups before.
That's right. So if you exhaust your bulky waste pickups, if you use those 2, during the course of the calendar year, we do provide extra pickups, but there's a charge. There's $25 per cubic yard for removal, and there's a form you have to fill out, and our staff will take care of it.
We know if people want extra green cans or extra blue ones, you can get them. They need to pay for them.
Yeah, that is correct. Right now, we have a temporary pause on our additional green cart ordering because of a national manufacturing shortage related to COVID-19. But we're hoping to get that going shortly. But yeah, if someone wanted an additional green waste cart, there is an additional service fee. Additional recycling. It's 100 right now. It's $136.50 per year. It's an annual fee. But again,
Those bills just went out. I just got mine.
Yeah. So if you have one and you get a bill for $136.50, that's for your additional waste cart service. If you want an additional recycling cart, we provide 1 extra free of charge per household. And so those forms are online. Again, the delivery of those carts is also being delayed because of a manufacturing shortage.
And we know that
please be patient.
When you have your cart on the side of the street, the handles go in.
Right. So you want it the lid to flip back toward your house. So you want to make sure that the handle, when you push it to the cart, that your back is facing your house.
So we did some paper shredding, and it makes it into these like half the size of a dime, right? And it's really soft, sort of like bedding. And so when I put it in the can, I didn't close it up. So I'm dying to see what happens.
Well, we actually tell
people. Find out.
Well, we actually tell people not to recycle their shredded paper, because when it gets to the facility, it's like confetti.
After all of this,
it's like confetti. Thank you for bringing it up. Yeah, it's like confetti. And so, if you have shredded paper, you can just bag it and it'll end up at our waste energy facility.
I
Yeah.
actually wanted to spread it around my yard.
No
It's so
worries.
soft.
I know it's I have a shredder at home too. It's really cathartic to shred all those bills and papers and
And
all
my
that stuff.
grandkids had a good time jamming it up. It was wonderful. They really liked it.
Yeah,
Look,
no, it's
Grandpa.
fun. It's fun. Just really quickly about our holiday schedule, because I know we just touched on that base really quickly. So we won't have any garbage collection on the 24th. There will be recycling collection. So if your recycling day is Friday, December 24th, put your recycling cart at the curb. All of our disposal facilities will be open on the 24th, but they will be closed on the 25th, Saturday the 25th. No TRCs, no landfills, no home chemical collection. And our offices, our administrative offices will be closed on the 24th. All that information can be found on our social media, Miami-Dade Solid Waste on Facebook, Miami-Dade SWM on Twitter, and on our website, miamidade.gov/solid waste.
James Richard with Miami-Dade County
Thank you
Solid
so
Waste
much,
Department.
Michael.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you.
You
and
too.
to your
Happy
family.
holidays. Thank you.
Again, thanks for joining us. This is Live with Miami's Community News. Be safe out there, and we'll see you later.